Holly and Doug, let's hear from you folks, because obviously your work has been very, very helpful to a lot of folks in discerning, biblical truth from biblical error in this particular field. So there's the question on the screen. What did get you started on your journey of uncovering, and I don't know if exposing is the right word, but discerning and sifting through the NAR? Over to Olio. Just chat.
Yeah.
Just chat.
Well, I'll start because it started with me. I was working at Biola University in Southern California, Christian University, and as the managing editor of their magazine, Biola Magazine. And during that time, I was also writing articles for the Christian Research Journal about that time, about cults and off-key groups. I was getting my own master's degree in apologetics. And one day I received a letter from a reader of the magazine who was reaching out to the university. She had graduated from Biola, and she had noticed this movement that she described that was taking over churches in her city. And she contacted the magazine, hoping that we could forward her letter on maybe to like a professor at the seminary, at Talbot Seminary, to hopefully find a professor who might write a response to this movement and show, where the teachings go off from scripture, why it's dangerous and unbiblical. And so, but as I was reading this email, it caught my attention because this movement she described that was led by apostles and prophets was something I had never heard of before. And I thought I had heard of everything. I was a researcher of cults and aberrant groups. And so I started doing my own Google research, and I quickly learned that this was a very large movement, even at that time, over 20 years ago now. And I didn't recognize it because I didn't know the terminology. I didn't have a framework for it, but I started realizing that it was actually all around me. I even knew people who were a part of it, and I didn't realize it at the time because I didn't know the terminology, and I wasn't able to spot it. And I even found out that someone I had just started dating at that time was part of this movement.
Wow. Okay.
And he's actually now my husband. He actually came out of that movement. He's now a pastor and warns people about this movement. But I talked about that story in our book, Counterfeit Kingdom. But so that's how I first learned about this movement. And then Doug can tell you how I brought him, into this.
Good. That's great. Before you do, Doug, I'll just do a prompt, folks. We'd like to get, Holly, Doug, any links to your books. If you can send us links to those that people can buy, we'll put them down below in the description. So, folks, if you want to get a copy of Counterfeit Kingdom, feel free to do that. And Doug, over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yes. I learned about the movement from Holly. And she had done extensive research that she shared with me and asked me if I would consider collaborating with her on a single book that we could do together. And I guess she could describe her own reasons for asking me to do it. My understanding at the time was that because my background is in philosophy and Christian thought, and in the philosophy of religion, and in a branch of philosophy called epistemology, which is concerned with how we ground belief, whatever our belief happens to be about. What is it that justifies belief, whether it can constitute knowledge under certain conditions, and if so, what those conditions are. And of course, this is a great concern to church life and apologetics because
of course,
we care to know whether the things that we believe are reasonable or not, and if so, how they compare with other beliefs that differ from our own. And then when you see problems encroaching within the church through new views about what the truth is, the same question arises. So it's actually apologetics with respect to the outside world of non-believers who might be curious about why it makes sense to believe the things we do as Christian thinkers and believers, but also how one concern might be, why do Christians disagree with each other about certain things? And so that requires some consideration along the same principles of what grounds particular beliefs that might differ among people who call themselves Christians. And then, of course, we have a whole tradition of knowledge as Christians that we call orthodoxy. And this unites us regardless of how we might differ on some particulars. But when a group might call itself Christian and then begin to move away from the historic tradition, or what I call the knowledge tradition of Christianity that's rooted in Scripture, then you have to correct that and re-steer the course to the benefit not only of outside observers, but believers in the church themselves.